My name is Sarneja, and you're watching Brain Security. We are on day 5 of the Advent of Cyber by TryHackMe, and today's topic is IDOR, Santa's Little IDOR. First, let me try to help you visualize this concept using a simple diagram. Take this one small example. Imagine this rectangular box as a place where you get your dedicated small space where you can place your private data or any sort of data that belongs to you. And just like you, many of the users have these spaces where they can put their data. So the authority of this place have given you certain IDs to locate that okay, this person will get access to this place, this person will get access to this place, something like that. So what happens here is that if this person A, for example, goes over here to the security check person, think of this person as the server, and says that I have ID 1001 and please give me the access. The person will check that okay, you have a valid ID given by us and they will grant you access over here. Okay, now imagine you came here, you got your work done, you got out, and then you change your ID something like this. Okay, and now you again went to the security person and said that I am this person and give me access of this ID. They will say, okay, you have a valid ID provided by us and you can access it. So this person can access somebody else's data as well. This is the concept behind IDOR. How you can prevent these kind of things when the person is checking the identity, okay, that you have a valid ID given by us, but are you sure you have the right to access this place? Now try to picturize this scenario in the form of computers and users. So for example, if the user comes to the server and says that I want to access this resource, the server should deny access to this resource, stating that you have only access to your own ID resources. Okay, that is what has happened over here. See, this we need to understand references and memory. Look at the storing a table storing these packages numbers from our link example could look like. So this is a sample table that they have, and see these are the package ID, these are the person. This is their address and this is their status. So if this Alice Smith has this package ID and this data, and if this person tries to access this person's data, the flaw in the system allows them the access to their resources. Okay, this is the bird eye view of the concept IDOR, and yes, I think we're good to go, and we shall begin with the room. We shall read the story. The story says that the parents are calling the support team who cannot activate vouchers on the TryPresentMe website. They are also mentioned they are receiving many target phishing emails containing information that is not public because their sensitive data has been accessed by someone else. The support team is wary and has enlisted help of the TBFC staff. When looking into this particular case, they discovered a suspiciously named account called Sir Carrot which has many vouchers assigned to it. For now, they have deleted the account and retrieved the vouchers, but something is going on. So the parents use this portal to manage things about their children. It should be present down. Yeah, my children. These are their children, and this is their voucher, gift, and things like that. Try present me parent dashboard. So they have reported that other parents are able to access their children's data. Okay, there is one more concept called privilege escalation. In simplest words, you can say that privilege escalation is having those rights that you are not supposed to have, having more rights than you are assigned to have. Okay, so there are two types of privilege escalation, horizontal and vertical. We will try to understand that as well with this graph, this diagram. Okay, now when you jump from this level of normal user access to a more privileged user access, it is known as horizontal privilege escalation. But if you just get access of a user that has same rights as you. It is known as vertical privilege escalation. Okay, and yes, I think that much is it. We should start with the room. First, we will provision our resources, attack box, start machine. Just think of this as, if, for example, if you use Google Photos or Google Drive and you have a particular ID assigned to you, okay, a resources ID assigned to you. For example, some something like 1001. It has been used quite a lot right now. So if you do 1002, the next user's data can be accessed by you. So how dangerous that is. Your data is also vulnerable, and the other person's data is also vulnerable. Let us wait for the machine to be provisioned. If the user wants the status of the packet and make a web request, the simplest method is to allow the user to supply their package ID. We take our data from the database using the simplest SQL query of select person, address, status from packages where package ID is equals to value. However, since package ID is a sequential number, it becomes pretty obvious to guess the package's ID of the other customers. And since the web application isn't verifying that the person making the request is the same person as the one who owns the package, an IDOR vulnerability appears. The full form of IDOR, which I forgot to say, is insecure direct object reference. And the co-author of this task says that the full form of this particular flaw does not exactly tell you what it is. They say that the direct reference to the object resource is not the problem here. The problem is that it is not verified that what you're asking for is owned by you or not. Okay, there are two concepts, authentication and authorization. Let me again take you to this example. When you say that I am this person and you get the valid access inside, that is known as authentication. That is, you give your username and password. It is verified by the system that yes, you are a known user and they give you access to the system. But what you can access inside the system is determined by authorization. Okay, you may think of authentication only happens once you supply username and password, but that is not actually the case. After providing your credentials, you receive a cookie or token called session information. Every subsequent request you make to the application includes this session information, which is verified by the application. This initial process is called authentication and happens for each request. This is why website often redirect you back to the login page. This means your session information has expired, and thus you need to re-authenticate with your credentials to receive new session information. Authorization cannot happen before authentication. If the application doesn't know who you are, it cannot verify what permission the user has. If you come here and say, I am just a random person, I don't have an ID, they're definitely not going to enter you, let alone give you the access inside their system. This is very important to remember. If your IDO doesn't require you to authenticate, login, or provide such information such as in our packing trackage example, we will have to fix authentication first before we fix the authorization issue, making sure users can only access packages they own. The two types of privilege escalation. Then, I think we are almost done with the yes, we are almost done with the theory part. Iterate digits, observe responses. Let's start with simple example of IDOR. On the web application, let's authenticate to the application using the details below. Once authenticated, you should see a dashboard like this. This is the TryPresentMe login details are my children, my account information, test my vouchers. Let's start by using developer tools of our browser to better understand what is happening in the background. Click right on the page and inspect. And the network tab is shown as below. Now let's refresh the page and see what requests are made. It should look something like this. We are in memory tab or we are in network? We weren't in network tab, but here it is. See, ID is equals to 10. Yes. In the above image, we can see that user ID with the value 10 was used for the request. If we click and expand in the response tab, we see that user ID corresponds to our user response. User ID 10, username Niels. This tells us that the application is using our user ID as a reference for getting details. Let's see what happens when we change this. In the developer tools, navigate to the storage tab and expand the local storage dropdown on the left and click the URL inside. Local storage URL. Let's change the user ID to 11. 11. Enter. Okay, we had Niels first. Now what do we have? Test. No children yet. This is simplest form. Simply changing the user ID or something else means we can see other users' data. Sometimes may have slightly more hidden. Just because you don't see a direct number doesn't mean it does not exist. Let's dive deeper. To continue on to the next challenge, go and change the ID back to 10 using the same steps you followed above. Yeah, see, there are so many vouchers assigned to this particular ID. Even though the name is Niels, just user ID is 11, so we got access to that particular account. In disguise, obvious references. Sometimes IDOR may not be as simple as just a number. In certain cases, encoding may be used on the landed profile. On the loaded profile, click the eye icon next to the first child as shown on the image below. You can close this. Now go back to network tab and take a look at the request being made. You should see a request like this. Get this. There. MG is just base64 encoded version of 2. Encoding isn't the only thing that can be used to hide potential IDO vulnerabilities. Sometimes a value may look like a hash, such as MD5 or SH1. If you want to see what that would look like, take a look at the request that happens when you click on the edit icon to the child. Edit, and we got something like MD5 here. That is something we are talking about. Yes. No, this is what they're talking about. Okay. While the string may look random, upon further investigation, you can see that it is a type of a hash. If we understand what value was used to generate the hash, we can perform IDOR attack by simply replicating the hashing function. Using something like hash identifier can help you quickly understand what hashing algorithm has been used. Okay, yes, on clicking on the edit icon next to the child, this request went out, and this is the hash. It says MD5. Possible algorithm MD5. It's deterministic, obviously reproducible. Sometimes you have to dig quite deep for IDOR. Sometimes IDOR is not clear. Sometimes IDOR stems from the actual algorithm being used. In the last case, let's take a look at our vouchers. While the values may look random, we need to investigate what algorithm was used to generate them. The format looks like the UUID, so let's use a website such as UUID Decoder to try to find to try to understand what UUID format was used. Copy the vouchers to the website for decoding, and you should see something similar like this. With the version, contents, clock, string format. While these look completely random, we can see that a UUID version was used. The issue with UUID 1 is that if we know the exact date the code was generated, we can recover it. For example, suppose we knew that the else always generated voucher between 8 to 9 p.m. In that case, we can create UIDs that for the entire time period. Since we have 60 minutes and 60 seconds. We have only 3,600 UIDs, which we could use in a brute force attack to aim and recover valid vouchers and get more gifts. How to finally prevent these kind of flaws in your system is make sure the server checks who is asking for the data every time. It's not enough to hide or change the ID number. The system must confirm that the logged in user is authorized to see or change that information. Don't rely on tricks like base64 or hashing, those can still be guessed and decoded. Instead, keep all the real permissions checks on the server. Whenever a request comes in, check does this user own or have permission to view this item. What does IDOR stand for? We are just going to copy paste insecure direct object reference. Whatever privilege escalation are most IDOR cases. Exploiting the IDOR found in the view accounts parameter. What is the user ID of the parent that has 10 children? How are we gonna go? I think there's no option as such to change or view user, of course. Using the task example, change the ID value of your token and refresh the page. Work in incremental steps from your user's ID. We'll change ID one by one. We can have test. Should be somewhere near. Bad bunny, other bad bunny, THM, no children. Pickle, other Rick, two children. Morty, Morty. Sir breathes a lot and there are 10. And there are 10 children. Okay. The ID number is 15.